The body of Mark Clark sat in the Chicago morgue unclaimed for days. His family was frantically searching for his whereabouts, hoping to hear any news. They were unaware that Chicago police had killed him just days prior. His last words to them were, "I probably won't see y'all again, but just know, I love y'all." Clark came from Peoria, Illinois, where his father was a pastor for the Holy Temple Church of God in Christ. He was stubborn, but he truly cared for those who were oppressed and overlooked by society, as well as leading a life guided by the same principles he taught at church. He passed that down to his children. Mark and his brothers got involved with the NAACP as children. Mark was just 15 when he joined after seeing police release dogs on protesters in Birmingham, Alabama. He would go on to stage a boycott at his high school, demanding that books about Black Americans be included in the curriculum. Despite this, he would drop out of school in the 8th grade, primarily because of the way Black students were treated there. Many people speak about how he did great in school, excelled in the arts and drama, but being good doesn't mean they'll treat you correctly. After dropping out, he takes some courses at Illinois Central College, a community college, where he also became involved with the Black Student Union. School wasn't the only place Mark was treated poorly. On multiple occasions, he'd be beaten or arrested on false charges by members of the local police force. Working with the NAACP and Black Student Union since he was 15 put him on their radar. In 1968, Clark's friend Henry Howard, who was a San Francisco Black Panther, suggested that Mark join up or start a branch in Peoria. The two would take a trip to speak with the Chicago chapter as well as the Oakland chapter. It was during this trip that Mark met Fred Hampton. From everything I read, the two were kindred spirits. They hit it off immediately. I'm talking secret handshakes and all that. Maybe not secret handshakes, but they were good friends. Mark agreed to stay in Chicago for 3 months to train as a Black Panther, and by 1969, he was the defense captain and starting his own branch in Peoria alongside his sister Gloria and his brother Joseph. They had 50 members by July of that year. They ran the free breakfast program, Mark taught classes, and took the survival programs further, creating a free clinic and giving away free clothes and shoes in Peoria. If you've heard Richard Pryor speak about growing up in Peoria, you know how prostitution is common. Some will say they went to war against prostitution. In reality, it wasn't the women, but the pimps and the white customers who abused these women they went to war against. He had learned that the Panthers were successful doing this in Houston, Texas, and created a modified version of their plan to serve their own purposes. Mark obviously came under COINTELPRO investigation and was forced to stop participating in Peoria's survival programs because anytime he would show up, law enforcement would show up to harass people. In November of 1969, the Chicago Police Department killed Black Panther Jake Spurgeon Winters in a shootout. Despite knowing the Chicago Black Panther Party had been infiltrated, he traveled to Chicago to help deal with the loss. He planned to return in a few days, but before leaving, he told his family, "I probably won't see y'all again, but just know I love y'all." 4:45 a.m. on December 4th, 1969, Chicago police conducted a raid at 2337 West Monroe Street. That apartment was the home of Chicago Black Panther chairman Fred Hampton. He was also hosting several other Panthers such as defense captain Mark Clark, who was also the head of the Peoria branch. The warden stated they were there for illegally possessed weapons. Sergeant Daniel Groth of the Chicago Police Department knocked once, and then police fired between 80 and 100 shots depending on who tells the story. Majority of the shots were in the vicinity of Fred Hampton's bed, where FBI informant William O'Neill had drawn an X on the layout for the FBI. When the shooting was done, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were both dead. One of the officers would joke, "He's good and dead now." Verlena Brewer, Ronald Doc Satchel, Blair Anderson, and Brenda Harris had all been wounded or were beaten by police afterwards. Notably, Akul and Jerry, formerly known as Deborah Johnson, was the pregnant fiancée of Fred Hampton. She had been sleeping next to him when he was murdered. She was dragged around the apartment by her hair and paraded outside with a gun to her belly. The entire time, she refused to cry, later stating it was important to show other women to be strong in the face of injustice. The only shot fired during the whole altercation from the Panthers was a single shot from Mark Clark's gun. He had been standing as lookout and was shot through the heart, killing him instantly before he even knew they were being raided. The gun was only fired as it hit the ground. The Black Panther Chicago Minister of Defense Bobby Rush would call it an execution squad. The FBI was so pleased with O'Neill's work, they gave him $300. When the trial happened, only police officers and expert witnesses testified. Much attention was given to how none of the surviving Panthers testified, but they were all injured, charged with attempted murder, possession of illegal weapons, and harassed by local police afterwards. There were never any illegal weapons found. In a joint statement from the Clark and Hampton families, it was called a well-rehearsed theatrical performance designed to vindicate the police officers. The mothers of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark would go on to receive what was the largest civil rights settlement in history. They would use that money to continue the legacies of their sons. While Fred Hampton has been rightfully held up as a legend in his death, the same can't be said for Mark Clark. The Peoria Journal-Star wrote articles vilifying him after his death, focusing on the fact that he had dropped out of school, not the fact that he was constantly mistreated there due to his race. They focused on the fact that he was frequently arrested by local police, but we know these arrests were fabricated due to his work as an activist. Mark Clark is often treated as an afterthought, and that should not be the case. He should be celebrated and praised for the work that he did. His sister Gloria has worked tirelessly to make sure that his history endures, even publishing a book titled Mark Clark, Soul of a Black Panther. Mark's eulogy was given by Reverend Blaine Ramsey, who was also vice president of the NAACP at the time. He stated it best: Mark Clark should be considered one of the martyrs to the cause of black dignity and human equality.